Is that the guy who tried to sell us some services?
No.
Put a baseball hat on.
I don't know why this won't work with my Zoom here. You see the Valentra 360 behind me here on my picture?
Yeah, it looks great. 9.9 out of 10. Impressive.
Hey guys.
Hey, good morning.
Morning.
How are you?
Good, just waking up.
Good. Must have gotten back from your run early.
Very early, yes. I'm looking forward to this evening to go for a swim.
Oh, where you go swim?
Backyard.
What's that? Yeah, I wish. No, we don't have a pool. We have a junior Olympic pool in our neighborhood, so.
You getting a cold, Luigi?
No, it's probably my headset.
I thought I heard something in your voice.
No. It's excitement.
Okay. I just don't want to prescribe anything without getting.
Without the diagnosis, proper diagnosis.
I just hung up with Timmy, so
Okay,
he should be
perfect.
jumping on any second.
Let's see. Alejandro, are you there?
Alejandro. Luigi, are you feeling okay, man? I think this is the second meeting I've seen you in with that I see the chair.
Yeah, my legs are just tired.
Oh, let's say, man, I've got to make sure you're all right, buddy. This is two meetings, not back to back. That I see you with the chair. I'm just concerned for you.
I will stand up then, if that makes you feel better.
No,
I'll
please.
suffer. I'll suffer. No, it's okay.
Listen, don't suffer for me, okay? It's not worth your pain.
Hey, this is Danny from Cloud Task.
Oh, hey, Danny. How are you?
Yeah, I'm doing really well, thanks. And yourself?
Doing well. I didn't know if you were joining or if it was Alejandro who was going to join.
Yeah, apologies, I'm running a little bit late. I'm literally been back to back since 8 o'clock this morning. So I do apologize, man, and being a little bit tardy. Alejandro informed me of the call and he said he might be running a little bit late, but we're good to get started. Are we waiting for, I can see we've got quite a lot of people from your end on the call. So great to meet everyone.
Hey, great to meet you.
Are we waiting for anyone else from your end?
No, we're all ready to go.
Okay, brilliant. Like I say, I'm running from another meeting, so apologies. I've not had time to look at my notes. Have you guys actually physically spoken to Alejandro over the phone yet, or was it just via email or LinkedIn?
Via email.
Okay, brilliant. So I'd love to hear it kind of from your own words, kind of what it is that you're looking for and kind of how we can kind of hopefully help you out and see if we can, if there's any synergy here.
Sure. Just a little context of who we are. Valentry 360, we are a Salesforce consulting partner. So we provide consulting services for Salesforce implementations and other areas regarding digital transformations. We are at a point, kind of an inflection point, or as Daryl, our CEO, says, we're ready to make that quantum leap. And by doing so, we're evaluating kind of our B2B efforts through lead gen, appointment setting, et cetera, to get us to that next tier. We've got a lot of really exciting projects. We just need more of that support to drive some of that business our way. They're probably having issues with their...
What was that, Joe?
We're good.
Okay, good. So essentially, the reason why we reached out was to kind of get an understanding of, kind of your methodology, kind of some use cases, obviously pricing, kind of next steps. In full transparency, we started off with a list of 10. We've narrowed it down to 3. We do have a top choice at the moment. And one of the things that we're trying to evaluate is who else is out there that's a strong option for us to be a partner as we continue to scale.
Okay, that's brilliant. Thanks a lot for the introduction. Definitely giving me some bit more context so I can kind of direct the conversation down a path that's going to be kind of more relevant. So first of all, let me start off with a bit of an introduction about myself and CloudTask. So CloudTask has been around for about 6 years now. I joined the company just over 2 years ago. When I joined the company, we were at 40 people. We're now at over 220 people split across 3 offices. Our HQ is in Miami. We also have 2 large development centers in Medellin and Bogota in Colombia. Prior to me working at CloudTask, I actually worked for one of our competitors, a firm called Funnel Pilots out of Tampa. Funny enough, my first account at Funnel Pilots was a Salesforce development firm called AppShark. They're based out of Dallas, Texas. They were rated gold on the Salesforce partner webpage. So my role was actually to sell developers to companies that use Salesforce, whether it's a case they wanted to implement it or kind of increase, they needed an architect, etc. So I'm very familiar with the kind of ecosystem. I started off selling the product with 0 knowledge of Salesforce and the ecosystem in terms of what we were doing. I was able to ramp up. Within about 6 weeks and within 10 months, we opened and closed $3 million worth of business. So, again, I'm very familiar with kind of what needs to be done in terms of the ramp up. In terms of CloudTask then, so CloudTask, we're a fully managed workforce service provider, and we have 3 main service offerings. We offer our clients and partners B2B sales teams, customer support teams, and customer success teams. So we can actually break down the B2B sales teams to 3 different segments. We have our entry-level folks who aren't actually client-facing. We call them business development associates. And what they do is work within our lead generation department. As well as generating lists, they can also enrich lists that we pass from our clients. And then we go a step further by having a small team in the Philippines that humanly verify the phone numbers of that list. What this results in is that when we pass the lists over to the next layer up, which are our BDRs or SDRs, whichever we want to call them, it means these lists are not just super hot. We know the phone numbers are going to go directly through to the decision makers who obviously want to have those conversations with. Our BDRs are omni-channel. So we are, hunters, as we call them, can reach out to folks via phone, email, social, which is mainly LinkedIn, SMS texting, and live chat. On top of that, we have our account executives, which can carry quota. Regardless of the team makeup, we can customize our teams. We always include several layers of management and a tech stack. So our several layers of management include 2 of your POCs. Sitting at the very top is our senior customer success manager. This person's role and kind of skill is really building out the strategy and the campaigns. Especially when we're kind of ramping up, our goal is to get our clients seen ROI as quickly as possible. So what we normally do is run several campaigns at the same time at the start. After normally around about by month 2 or 3, we have a lot of data and we can amplify the campaigns where we had success. So that's the role of the senior customer success manager. Below them sits a sales manager who's actually more like a coach. So as well as being your second POC, this person's on the ground with the team on a daily basis, providing feedback, motivating them, providing continuous coaching. And we actually have a whole QA analysis team that's listening to calls and checking messages. So we're totally white labeled. So, you know, we're wearing your t-shirts, we have your email addresses on LinkedIn, we say we work for Valentry. It's not going to say, hey, look, we're calling it from CloudTask. We're going to make sure we're saying the right and doing the right things. And again, this is kind of where our QA analysis steps in. They provide the right feedback to the sales manager, who can then coach and provide ongoing training to our reps as we go along. And we also include a content writer. So our whole content writing team, funny enough, they're all British like me, but unlike me, they're excellent at writing. So once we find out the industry and kind of who the ICP is, they're really good at pipping these folks' interest. So they're writing all the scripts and messages for our reps. And we also include a corporate trainer. So our corporate trainer gets the team up to speed really quickly. We aim to go live by week 3. So what I mean is we have 2 weeks of intense training where we need your help in terms of kind of providing some training, product solution knowledge, and helping us with the role plays. So we aim to pick up the phone and start reaching out to folks by week 3. And again, our training department is building out those programs. So that's our management team. That's always there, and that's always included. On top of that is our tech stack. We customize our tech stack based on kind of the engagement at hand. It just means you're not paying for any sales enablement tools. So we use a power dialer called FrontSpin. So it integrates seamlessly into Salesforce and most other CRMs. It means you don't have to give us an instance of your Salesforce. We can just seamlessly pass data to and from. We get over all the kind of IT security issues that some larger clients have. We also include an instance of Apollo.io. If you're not familiar with the platform, it's kind of like a CRM, a lead generation tool. You're nodding your head, so you're familiar with that. And again, any kind of lead enrichment, any lead generation tools we need, things like an instance of Seamless, Grammarly, and a premium LinkedIn Sales Navigator license. Again, we kind of customize it depending on the kind of the job at hand. So it just means that you're paying one price. There's no extra subscription costs. In terms of kind of the companies that we work for, past and present, I would say around about 70% of our client base are SaaS companies and the rest are product and services companies. So we're very much work within the IT world. Most of our folks come from an IT background, whether they're sales engineers or ex-techies, or they've sold within B2B sales within the tech space. Some of the larger clients that I can mention that you might have heard of that we work with, companies like RingCentral, Drift. We actually partner with Apollo.io. So as well as, you know, we sell their software within our tech stack, we actually have a support team and we have an AE team that close business for them as well. Again, ChargeBee, Unitrends, and Expensify. I can share some case studies after the call, just to name a few. And yeah, that's kind of us in a nutshell. Any questions at this point?
That wasn't thorough enough. Can you get a little deeper?
Yeah, so
I'm just messing with you. I'm just messing with you.
I never know, because, you know, some people, it's hard to say. I've got like, obviously I've got a lot of team members from your end on. So, you know, the sales folks want to hear about the onboarding and training. The marketing people want to hear about kind of what can we do for marketing. And obviously CROs and CEOs want to hear about ROI and pricing. So I'm trying to hit all the buttons here.
No. You nailed them all so far. So a couple of things. You talked about the generating the lists and list enrichment. What is like? How do you? If it's a secret sauce, I get it. But if there's things that you guys do, like are you using like ZoomInfo, PitchBook, like how are you getting the information?
Yeah, no, great question, Luigi. So, you know, the secret sauce is that we use all the above, and I guess humanly verified leads is something where we take a step further. But, you know, let's step back. We all know that data is key in any kind of sales cycle or whatever. So we need to make sure that data is clean, and we need to understand where that's coming from. So we do have a lead generation department internally, and we don't charge for adding those, if you like, those extras when we're starting a new engagement. Because again, we know that data is key. But you know, most of our clients, they are using ZoomInfo, they're using Discover.org, or they're buying lists from somewhere, or they have a great marketing department, so they have these different buckets of leads. So ideally, we want to start with, you know, what's worked in the past or what's not worked in the past. We need to understand what's been good for you and what's not been good for you. So let's just say, for example, you buy these lists from a third party. You can send us those lists because we still want to enrich them, because we know companies like ZoomInfo and Discover.org, around about 70% of the data is okay. The rest of it, not so great. So we need to make sure, first of all, that the lists are enriched and up to date, and then we humanly verify the phone numbers to make sure that they're correct as well. And we do verify the email addresses. Now, maybe, you know, you don't buy these lists and you generate these lists organically, or maybe, you know, you use the Salesforce website and you have a list of clients that, you want to work with, that can work as well. You can give us the list of clients that you want to work with, or you can be like, hey, we want to work with Salesforce users who are between 200 and 500 employees, or again, without being too granular, you give us what those parameters are. We can then generate the lists off the back of that. If we are doing pure lead generation from scratch, then again, we really need to kind of dig deep and find out how in depth we need to go. Because if we are doing it from scratch and it's a really hard sector or industry, or the information is just hard to collect, then yes, potentially we may have to start charging you extra for that lead generation piece. I hope that I kind of digressed a little bit, but I answered the question.
No, that makes sense. So in terms of you mentioned the sectors, are there specific areas that you guys excel at, and there's other ones that you feel this is not really, something that we want to tackle?
Yeah, I mean, again, as I mentioned, 70% of our client base is SaaS companies. So, with that, that's obviously, we've already got that built in. If you're familiar with Apollo as well, that's a great source. That's one of the kind of the platforms that we use. Generally, anything to do with IT, we're pretty good at. It's only, I would say, it's not difficult. When we need to investigate this a little bit further is if you want us to do this lead gen from scratch. Because again, we know that data is key, and we want to make sure that we're passing the right data over to our reps. And more importantly, we want to make sure we're targeting the right companies. So I guess the question I want to put to you is, would you be potentially passing us those lists, or do you want to us to do it from scratch?
I mean, that's kind of where we're at right now, is trying to figure out. I mean, we know the markets we want to go after. We just don't have a good, reliable source of data. And quite honestly, we don't have the capacity at the moment to scrub it, to go through it, and kind of do what you guys are doing. That's why we're here, right? So if it's something that makes more sense, yes, evaluating kind of the list creation with you guys as kind of a starting point.
Okay. And so could you just describe to me who your ICP is at the moment, and who you'd be looking to target, and kind of, what parameters you'd be looking for us to target? Yeah.
So kind of our ideal, customer profile. So let me start with the segments and then go into the profile, because it makes more sense. So our segments really we're trying to target is healthcare, manufacturing, consumer goods. And then even though it's not a sector, it's more of a segment for us is private equity firms. So within private equity firms, our ideal customer profile there is portfolio managers. And then across the other three are really the CEO, CMO, Chief Marketing Officer, Operating Officer, or VP of Sales. That's really kind of the ideal customer profile we're going after.
Okay, and how do you kind of choose those type of companies in terms of, are we looking at the size of the companies in terms of headcount, or are we looking at how much revenue they generate? Yeah, so ideally revenue greater than 25 million. 25 million to say that 500 million, that's it's a wide range. But from the private equity sector, that $100 to $500 million is a really sweet spot for us, given that we deploy technologies in healthcare, in manufacturing, and consumer goods. So ideally, private equity firms that have relationships with those organizations, but separate from the private equity group, those organizations, ideally we can go after as well. Okay, but in those sectors, we work with clients now, and we have worked with in the past. I would say the strongest probably healthcare. So, I'm not promising anything at this point. I would say there just shouldn't be too much hard work from our end to generate those lists, because we probably have a good understanding. It's just a case of making sure that data is up to date and relevant to what you guys are doing. So that's great. In terms of kind of us and how we set up the account and how we look at ramp up, is I actually created this document. It's called an account briefing document. So it's about 3 pages long. Within this document, all the questions we ask and all the answers you give us, it provides us the foundation to do the lead generation, to create the onboarding and training agenda for the reps, us to sync all our tech together to make sure we can kind of have our sales engineering department send the data back to you and just pass the data seamlessly in between the two firms. And then also we can look at the best reps that we have that will be a good fit to the account. And most importantly, get you guys seeing ROI as quickly as possible. So we always run with a 6-month pilot. The reason we run with a 6-month pilot is the data that we collected over the last 6 years. We found it takes 3.2 months for an SDR to be fully ramped up. Obviously, it could be a little bit less, could be a little bit more, but that's the average. So what we look to do, as I mentioned, we look to go live by week 3. The first 2 weeks, very much training and onboarding. You know, we may possibly start getting meetings in the first month, but we start the ramp up from month 2 to month 3. So by the time we get to month 4, before the end of month 4, what we want to do, to be totally transparent, is open a conversation. Hey, Luigi, look, now the team's on running on 5th gear. We're hitting these KPIs out of the park. How do we add more BDRs? How do we help you close these deals? Can we add AEs? And we like to have those conversations around about month 4 or 5 before the end of the pilot. But before we get there, we need to understand what is ROI for you. And, you know, this is probably where it would be good for me to talk about pricing. When we're talking about, well, actually, before I go into that, are you guys looking for help? So we need help with the lead generation piece. We've identified that. Do you need help generating these appointments and closing the deals, or just 1 or 2, or literally just a lead gen piece? You have an SDR team internally that's ready to go, and you have AEs that can close.
I don't know. I'd open that up to our team.
Yeah, at first glance, I would say, you know, we would want appointments set. Danny and, you know, the sales team here would work on closing deals with potential clients.
Okay, brilliant. So yeah, what we always recommend, especially when we're doing an outbound program, a brand new outbound program, we recommend a minimum 4 reps. That's the minimum. Obviously, the more reps there are, it's a simple numbers game. The more dials we make, the more meetings we can generate, and the quicker time we can kind of ramp up and get you guys seeing ROI. So for 4 reps, it's $17,500 per month. And at this point, again, I need to deep dive. We wouldn't be any extra charges for the lead gen, because we know the data is key. From what you've told me so far, I'm confident that we already have the data, and it's just a case of refining that data to make it applicable to what we're doing here.
Danny, I got a question for you. Sorry, Danny, I have a question for you. Where are these reps based out of? You mentioned that you have people in Colombia. I understand you have people in Philippines that are just scrubbing the data and make sure that it's accurate. But where are these reps that are going to be doing this work for us?
Yeah, great question. So we have about 20 people in Miami. We were in the process of expanding our onshore presence before COVID-19 swept in. I'm in Medellin, Colombia. I'm based here normally about 50% of the time. The other 50% of the time I'm on the road in the States. I decided to bunker down here back in March. I'm glad I did, to be honest with you. We have about 150 people here. We have about 50 people in Bogota. In terms of the makeup, who are Cloud Tasks colleagues and employees and all the different managers and reps, I would say around about 20% are expats like myself. So they're either from the UK, the US, or Canada. And then around about 50% are Colombians that were born and raised in the States. And for one reason or another, whether it's political or economical, they move back to Colombia. So the native speakers is just that they'll have an accent because they grew up in Texas, or they grew up on the West Coast or the East Coast. And then round about the remaining round about 40-50% are Colombian, native Colombians, and they probably have accents. They sound Colombian, but we hired them because they have relevant experience. So maybe, you know, they have a full understanding of Salesforce and their products. So, you know, when they're talking to clients, it doesn't really matter if they have an accent. But then we have other clients that we work with who are very specific. They're like, Danny, you guys can't have a foreign accent. It's hard enough speaking to an IT director. So we want all the, if you like, stars aligned. So you just need to tell us the type of profile of reps you're looking for, whether they can have accents, they don't have accents, or they need relevant experience, older, younger. I'm 38 years old. I'm one of the oldest people in the company. Most of our people are between the age of about 24 and 32. Out of the 220 people we have, I would say around about 60-70% are actually SDRs. That's our bread and butter. So we understand the type of makeup of our people. You know, I guess to answer your question, Eric, what type of profiles are you looking for SDRs?
Me personally, anybody that can communicate well. I have no problems with accents whatsoever. I guess since you're going to put a team of 4 together, I guess we will be able to interact with the 4. If anybody we feel maybe a little bit off, we can talk at that point. You know, I mean, that's my thought process. But I was just concerned. Obviously, the person with an accent calling into any high level customer, the guard is up.
Definitely.
Obviously, the English accent that's gonna fly. Australian gonna fly. Even Jersey accents have problems. But just trying to understand the lay of your land.
Yeah, no. And again, this is the type of question I get asked all the time, and we understand that. In terms of kind of our people and our career growth, I guess the reason why we chose a nearshore country like Colombia is we're only a couple of hours direct from Miami. As when you're in Miami, you can get to anywhere in the States quite economically. Under normal circumstances, when we start a new engagement like this, we always encourage our client to come on site in the first week, not just to help with the ramp up and training of the reps, but you're going to get to understand our beautiful office here in Medellin, where I am. Not the fact that it's just a beautiful city in the middle of the Andes, but we're very much, as soon as you step into the office, you could think you're in a WeWork in San Francisco. We actually have our own office. Unfortunately, we moved into this brand new office in February and we had to move back out a month later. But we actually have a training academy built in within the office. So regardless of anybody's experience when joining CloudTask, we have an intense 4-week training program before they pass any accounts. And then even after that 4-week program, they can either go into what we call our nesting program for further coaching and training, because we recognize they have the relevant experience, so they have potential, but they need a little bit more coaching and training. A lot of the time they actually join me in my sales team and they work under me and the rest of my AEs and with our BDRs to help them get to scratch. Because you're totally right. If we're talking to C-levels, we're talking to IT directors or even VPs, you have a small window to break the ice, catch their attention, and find out the pinpoints. And if accent's, going to be an issue, and sometimes it is, then we found that's not really, we're not going to get success that way. Again, we're a services company. We're not we're not a SaaS company. So our success comes from our people. If we can't get our people to get UC and ROI, which is generating meetings very early on, we're going to fail and you're going to fire us. And that's very bad for business. And, we're not number one on G2 Crowds because we don't understand that.
That's fair. Thank you.
Were there any other questions?
Well, no, I mean, the good thing is, you have 2 Colombians on the phone, so.
All right.
Yeah, Timmy and I are Colombians.
Yeah.
So.
Are you based in the States? Or are you in Colombia as well?
In Florida. No, we're in Florida, Orlando, Florida. So the pricing is, you said, about 17,000 or so a month, and so it's 4 reps minimum. So that's 4 SDRs.
That's 4 SDRs. There's a slight difference if you want AEs. So, for example, if it's 4 AEs,
sure. Okay. Yep.
it's an extra 1,000 per month. As you know, the wages in Colombia, they're a lot lower than they are in the States. One reason why we attract so much talent and why we're one of the number one employees in Medellin is that we offer higher wages than Colombian companies. So we're actually taking a lot of talent from big corporations here in Colombia.
Yep, makes sense.
And Danny, just to be clear, you said you offer a few levels, right? You start with sort of the SDR, but you also have AEs. So can you just go through the quick kind of like base level and then what you go up to again?
Yeah. So again, we can mix and match the team. So we could have like 3 BDRs and 1 AE or 4 AEs. So let's say so the price for 4 BDRs is $17,500 per month. The price for 4 AEs is $19,000 per month. But the big difference here is we add commission. So normally we work out the commission, but normally on average it's around about 10%. 10% of any deals our AEs close. So that's kind of the big difference, because like most salespeople, we work off commissions. So even though they are more experienced and they were SDRs before, you don't see the big price difference in terms of base, but it's commissions. That's where they're making their money, and that's how we're keeping them happy.
Gotcha. So the 2 offerings then are an SDR, a BDR type role, and then an AE, correct?
That's correct. Well, it's actually free.
Okay.
So within the B2B sales, we can just do the lead gen piece where it's not dedicated people. It's just, you say, look, I need 5,000 leads or 10,000 leads per month, and we
I
charge
got
you
you.
a cost per lead. But as I mentioned, in this case, we won't need to charge for the lead generation piece because we're already going to have the data within our database.
Gotcha.
Danny, have you guys worked with any staffing companies?
I need to, off the top of my head, no,
Guys,
I don't think we have.
Alejandro
I
here,
can.
and my apologies for jumping on late. I had a bit of a technical issue, and thank you, Danny, for joining. Very nice to meet you guys. Just to jump in, I did have the possibility to work with a recruitment agency. Just to share with you a little bit about my experience here at CloudTest. I've been here 3 years. First company I started working with was Ideal Personnel, which was a recruitment agency out of Miami. So we have had the experience. And just to jump in there, and sorry to once again jump a little late.
No problem, Alejandro. Thanks for that. Yeah, I was going to say what I can do is actually speak to our managers and operations team, and then if we do have any kind of stats or case studies, I can share that with everyone after the call.
Then the other question I had was, what's the average length of time that your clients stay with you?
I would say our average time is, again, I need to get these stats because we're doing a lot better. I would say in the last 8 months, we've gone from running 3-month pilots to 6-month pilots, where you'd think, wait a minute, that's actually harder. But what we found, it takes 3.2 months for a team to be fully ramped up. What was happening before, we'd get to month 2, and then our client was really thinking about, well, you know what, the reps aren't really hitting their goals because we, CloudTask, didn't set that right ramp up and set the realistic forecast to get the team ramped up. So our agreements are a 6-month pilot, and then we look to renew for a year. So, I would say since 8 months, we're getting big branded clients that are now renewing for a year. I don't know if that answers your question, but yeah, then you're looking around about 18 months.
Okay, got it. Yeah, Luigi had to jump. He had a 3:30 call. He had to move to. Timmy, I know you're on mute, but any other questions? Timmy, Daryl, Eric? No. Okay. All right. Very good. And Danny, I know that you've got Luigi's information in terms of, or Alejandro. Yep. You had emailed Luigi, but if you could pull some information together, case study and such, and get that over to Luigi, that'd be great. And we've got one more company that we're talking to on Monday, and then we're going to whittle it down to kind of the final 2 or 3 that we're going to take a look at.
All right, no, I appreciate that information. So obviously I was going to, a few questions I quickly had before we kind of all part ways. I was going to ask kind of where are you at this? Obviously it sounds like you're not really exploring this. You're definitely going to move forward with a vendor, but you're still kind of shopping, which is great. It's important to look at what's in the market if you've never worked with a firm like us before. In your, I guess, from your view, what would you define success in an engagement like this? And also, do you actually have any SDRs internally that are doing this? And if you had, what are they not doing, or why haven't they succeeded in the past?
Yeah, so we're looking to utilize a outsourcing lead generation company like you guys. We do not have an internal team of BDRs to go out and do this. So our choice is let's go with somebody who's got experience that can go, kind of ramp quickly in a multi channel approach and try to ramp up business. And success to me would be, $3 million in business like AppShark would be lovely.
Brilliant. All right then. Yeah. Okay. Again, you give me a good idea. I've got a few case studies that are going to tick those boxes. So I've obviously thrown a lot of information at everyone. I'll summarize everything in an email. I'll add those case studies. I'll add a proposal with a few different pricing options on, just to give you an idea. Because you mentioned AEs. So obviously, if we can potentially help you close business once kind of you trust us and we start generating appointments, it'd be good just to have that. So you've got that on the table. And again, any other data I can get off our operations team after I sync with them later on today. And yeah, I mean, I guess, were there any other questions, or is there anything else that anybody would like me to add to that email?
No, I mean, Luigi will disperse it to the rest of us that are on this call. But no, very good. We appreciate all.
The only other thing is if you have any kind of comparison, right? Like we've seen some other folks kind of compare themselves against the competition. So if you have anything like that, that's helpful too.
Yeah, and what I'll do is I'll add a list of our top competitors, and then I'll give you a little summary of why we're different to them. But
Beautiful.
yeah, that makes sense.
Awesome.
Awesome. Thanks, Danny. Thanks,
Great.
Alejandro.
Hey guys, Paris, Eric, Daryl, Timmy, it's been great linking with you all, and yeah, we'll follow up with Luigi, and hopefully, yeah, we can continue this conversation.
Very good.
Okay.
Thank you
Okay.
guys. Have a
Thanks,
great
guys.
day.
Go get some fresh jugos, okay? I miss those.
Absolutely.
Oh,
Some bandeja
definitely.
paisa.
Oh, carajo. Qué rico. Okay.
Hopefully you
Danny.
guys can come down and visit us if we work together.
Sounds good. Paris is the first one to go. We'll be there.
Thank you. Thank you.
All right, guys.
Thanks,
Have a
guys.
good one,
All the
gentlemen.
best. Bye now.